filming, yeah?
No. 是不介意他摄像啊。
谢谢。
你不吃多粉啊？对，你咋这个？
那就是我们是来的小碗，来，美国人的。不然别的起。苏兰大美，毛细，几个？一个，大小，对，你看样吗？
给你排呢，好好穿你。来一个大碗加蛋。给你排呢。
烂不溜的，整一个出锅了。
加蛋那个面食的样子。
不能喝那个，没有用。万一要是。
你那个是到哪？
恭喜收看8元。
这把你们到哪？
来啥呀你？
在那儿。
好吃。你真的厉害。For sale. I wonder how much they're wanting for it. It's got a fan.
There's a contact number on it.
Yeah, we'll give them a call later.
I 哎呦我操的妈！这个真牛，真牛，
是吧？
谁最美？我的乡亲，我的战友，我的兄弟姐妹，你是谁？没有谁，我的战友，你和谁？
哎，你们好，你好。你们辛苦了。
不辛苦，
为人民服务。
这个地方真的漂亮。我非常喜欢植物。对。
你是美国人吗？
我是苏格兰人。苏格兰在英国的北部。我是。
头2天我就去检查去了。检查，你看我这个到时候
啥也不懂，啥也不懂。
门来钓鱼呢，刚来我。 参加这大马啊，荒马。
是不是给它喝水呀？
Oi, come here. Yes. Well, there's a challenge for me.
Their recommended dish is Angus beef
All
over
the way
rice.
from
Over Scotland.
the Angus Glens.
I mean the Korean style restaurant. 啊，就是酱料不一样。
对对对，
是吧
这个就是有辣的有不辣的。
这个就挺适合说那个就是小孩老人。
对对对对对，它一般的话就是你吃这个的多。
啊，是这个多是吧？
对，一般的
酱料也挺好。好的，谢谢啊。我爱不分。
哇，我的自行车，好酷！
玩家
去露营。
露营。
对，在我是英国人，所以在英国的北部，苏格兰高地，这个地方非常漂亮，
太美了。
没人。
加大依法执
夜吹着冰凉凉的风，你消失在人海之中，我深深爱着你，却与你相拥是场梦。想问情深要继续，我们的相遇是怎样被结局？情深要继续，人生的悲喜都由不得自己。我不会爱过你，无奈我得不住你，该怎么了断这思念？诺言已变成了谎言。
多长时间能回来一趟？
哦，我1个月，但是下个星期我需要去大连的地方。
说话上都能听明白，汉语说的不错。
哦，要一点点，说中文不容易。
这就不错了，这个挺好，都能听懂。你要说那闽南话，我听不懂。
对，我告诉昨天我告诉他，我们在云南的地方的时候，你听不懂云南话。
阳照这里。
你们辛苦了，累不累？
不累，
不累。
为了绿化，不累。
今天的天气特别好，对不对？不冷不热。你的上班非常好。
非常好。
对，你们是本地人吗？
啊，
你们是本地人，你们是吉林人。
啊，吉林。
对。我是苏格兰人。
啊，
对，你知道苏格兰？苏格兰在英国的北部。非常好，拜拜。
拜拜。
在哪个经济好一点？
大连好点，
都不行。
都没有好地方。现在就是什么呢？东北。
Keep the space separate from the plants, just a little space so that the caramel. It's sunshine, yes.小杜，小杜，
在哪？
在哪？我在这儿，你在哪儿？
小杜，小杜，
被你
哦，小杜，小杜，我要听音乐。
为你奉上成响带来的可能。
小杜，小杜，
我在。
这个不好听。小杜，小杜，我要听什么说 country music。
抱歉，没有找到音乐。什么时候 country music？ 请换个内容试试。
好的。
小度聊天服务全新升级，首次使用，请去小度 APP 开启服务哦。
哦，我不要你的 APP。
小杜，小杜，
小杜，小杜，我要听什么说 country music？
乡村音乐。
乡村音乐。
不堪的成语有：猪生气、万事不堪、掉声带、说 书刊的成语有
小杜，为什么听不懂？
We should shut this down. That's quite nice.
It's probably we can't put this on because of
Copyright.
copyright. 小杜，do you have copyright for this?
I said only speak Chinese.
没有开封补充用品，如果你有需要，
Oh, I'm gonna sit down for
问
this.
问吧。
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Baby genius, if you're watching, I am so sorry for the breach of copyright.
Really? This copyrighted?
Scotland's burning, look out.
Scotland's burning, look out, fire, 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 fire.
Pour on water. 小杜，我要听。你帮我。等一下。
They're not waiting for you. 啊？乡村音乐。
乡村音乐。
对。
小杜，
怎么了？
我要听
乡村
音乐。小杜，我要听乡村音乐。
播放乡村歌曲 Hank Thompson This Train。
Oh, finally!
You don't recognize it. 小杜，
在哪？
我们去外面，告诉你拜拜，再见。
刚才说的什么呀？你也可以换个说法试试。
She wants you to say it another way.
拜拜。
抱歉，没有找到音乐，希望是谢娜的胃，请换个内容试试。
小杜，再见。
拜拜。
Finally. Crumbly limestone on the top that you can see there. 你喜欢去爬山吗？
我们是从小在山上长大的，一直在跑山。我们是，
所以你身体好啊？
身体是好，这几年才我们在这边寄宿小孩，所以没办法。不然的话，我们是真的是一直在山上爬山，做什么都是要爬山的。
Morning.
Good morning.
Where are we?
We're on the Yulong Mountain in China's Yunnan province, the Kingdom of Flowers. And we're in Lijianggasan Jiwoyan on the Yulong Shuishan. So in English that means we're in Lijiang Alpine Botanic Garden on the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain. And I don't think it's exaggeration to say I established this botanic garden and built the field station that we're going to hike to. There was a botanic garden in Lijiang many years ago, but it was destroyed during the Cultural Revolution. And during a project that I worked on in Yunnan's provincial capital of Kunming, I frequently visited this area, mostly for botanizing, looking at wild flowers and looking especially at the alpine flora, climbing the mountain, camping. And I had an idea to re-establish Lijiang Alpine Botanic Garden and to establish a completely new biological research centre, station for the protection mostly of the plants, because that's what I was interested in, but I wanted to broaden it out and include the conservators of the animal kingdom as well. And so with help from some sponsors, the main one being a company called Billiton that later became BHP Billiton after a merger, and seed money from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the United Kingdom, I was able to establish a site here. And it's a pretty large site. I don't know, you can imagine it as a series of onion rings. I think the main area that we're protecting is around 300 hectares. Extending, that's around the station. The area that we're standing in now encompasses maybe around 3,000 hectares, but the land that we influence is greatly more
beyond
significant than that.
Mm.
So I built this path that we're standing on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this beautiful path built by Dave.
My hands.
And all these, look at all these labels.
Pinus armandii, Armand's pine. So there's
and that one. There we go.
So we're going to hike up to the station and we're going to switch the camera on here and there. Mo's got a wee bit of a cold.
Yeah, high altitude and cold might not be fun for me. But this is my third visit to the station, isn't it?
Yes.
Which visit is it for you? 2,654.
Well, I lived here for the better part of 10 years. So I was, of course, dividing my time between my duties and responsibilities in Scotland, but I was spending somewhere between 6 and 8 months per year living and working on this mountain, living at the station. During the construction of the station, I spent almost 2 years living under a tarpaulin with the local construction company, literally a tarpaulin.
What's that?
A makeshift tent. It's a water tank. So when we took over responsibility for the management of this land, some of the local people were less than happy about
ethnic minorities.
The ethnic minority in this area is called the Nashidzu, the Nashi people, a tribal race of mountain folks that do a lot of their work with horses. And so one of the things that I did to appease them was, this is an ancient trade route, so we opened up the trade route. So we're hiking on a path here. I'm going to go across to show the folks the trade route. So we're going to leave the path and we're going to go onto the old horse trail, which I believe is quite badly eroded. There's been a couple of landslides, but we'll find a way. And so I encouraged them to do path repairs, working with them. I funded a lot of it. And looking at the water tank there, we have a glass house down a few hundred feet in elevation below us, where the plants are grown for seed harvesting for conservation purposes, and that water there is a header tank for the irrigation system in the glass house. But the other thing that I did here was, just telling Mo earlier this morning at the beginning of our hike, that I put in a turbine in the river and generated electricity for the horsemen, who were able to establish a base just opposite our entrance, our gateway. And from that base they could help with the construction of the botanic garden here, because everything needed to come up the mountain by horse. There's no road at that time. And also they could diversify into a little bit of pony trekking, because there was It was
tourists.
It was the early days of tourism. Now Lijiang is a tourist magnet.
Yeah.
But, going back a long time ago, there were just a few hardy
horses
tourists that ventured this far, and they were able to climb the mountain on horseback. And the little horse station had electricity that we generated for them.
But that's how you gain their support.
Exactly, yeah. And it was a lot of
Local
fun.
buy-in.
Yep.
That's quite a good scheme.
That was a long introduction. Most people will be wanting to get on to the hike.
Okay.
I'm dilly-dallying on the way up. It's always good to hike the first ascent to the station quite slowly, because we'll top out at the station at over 10,000 feet above sea level, so high enough for altitude to kick in a little bit. But it's okay if you drink plenty and just take it easy on the first trip. I used to use it as a training run when I was younger. I used to be able to get up to the station in about 30 minutes from the bottom, which is a little bit less than Monroe, but a little bit more than your standard kind of Corbett.
My target time today is 2 hours.
Okay.
No 30-minute nonsense.
People used to ask me when I was exploring the lower elevations of the Yulong Mountain with this fairly dense forest how I never got lost. And well, there's lots of little tricks. I didn't really carry much navigation equipment, but this plant is absolutely brilliant for navigation. So let me take that leaf there, and we'll just bruise it up. And you see it's all gone white, and we'll bruise that one up as well. Is the camera picking that up more?
I think so. It's fairly obvious.
Yeah. So you see all the bruising on that.
So you can make a road mark.
Yeah, so just make markings, and you know, you can even, if you want,
you can write on it.
You can write on it. I'll put an arrow on. Yeah. And it's good for a good few hours before. Can you see that?
Yeah. Before it recovers.
Before it recovers, yeah. So this is it's a viburnum. It's a Viburnum cylindricum, and it has lovely dark blue berries in the autumn. So as I was hiking along, sometimes I was guiding as the manager of the station. One of my duties was to look after visiting scientists from all over China and indeed all over the world. And when I was hiking off trail, which we often did because that's where we were going to find the most interesting plants, I would see a Viburnum cylindricum on, you know, the route that we were following, and I would just crush it in the way past without actually saying anything, and then retracing my steps I would be able to find these plants that I'd bruised up. So
neat trick.
no plants were hurt in the making of that
Video.
They can all recover. So, and as you can see, it's a fairly common plant. So at this elevation, they'll only work up to about 2,000.
Dave, path is here.
I'm not lost.
I thought you were an explorer.
I am an explorer.
I thought you built this path. I thought you can't get lost.
I'm not lost, I promise. Shall I tell the folks a little bit about this forest?
Well, there's a risk of just boring them to sleep, but
All right,
okay,
folks.
go on.
Undivided attention, folks. No sleeping. We are in sclerophile. It's difficult to say that word.
Let's try again.
Sclerophilus oak and serotinous pine. So this is the oak tree here. So it's an evergreen oak, and it looks a little bit like a holly. It's protected by these thorns on the leaves. The protection is against grazing animals.
Oh yeah, it's thorny, yeah.
So it's a little oak tree. They grow quite big, but the altitude determines how tall they're going to be, and they're never like huge English oak trees. So there are these evergreen oaks that produce the little acorns, and there's actually 3 types of pine tree that are relatively common on the Yulong Mountain. There is this pine tree, which is a cone very similar to our own Scots pine, and so that is Pinus yunanensis.
Yunnan.
Yeah, named after Yunnan. And there's a particular form of this pine tree called Pinus uncineata. And uncineata is very much like a goblet shaped. So it's got a wee short stem and then like a wine glass or a goblet, and it's a very low growing species, and it only occurs in the hanging valleys, and it's probably best regarded as a cline. A cline is, how can I describe it without getting too technical? So it's an ecological adaptation to that high altitude life that has been genetically fixed. So if you take seeds from that plant and grow them down here at this elevation, if you manage to get them to grow, they'll produce a tree of the same shape and form. So the genetic coding within Pinus uncineata is fixed, making it a cline rather than just a regional variant that will revert to type if it is taken out of the particular habitat that forms its growth habit, if that makes sense. So that is these Pinus uncineata and this one Pinus unionensis are very common here. And then there is this.
That's a big one.
And this is Pinus unionensis has needle clusters in 2s or 3s. So pine needles, Scots pine has 2 needles per cluster. Pinus unionensis is generally 3, but it's a little bit indeterminate because quite often you'll find it in 2. This is what's called a 5-needle pine. Some people call them the white pine because the band underneath the leaf, the lower surface of the leaf, it's called a stomatoband. It's where the stoma are, where the leaf breathes essentially, is very white. So needle clusters in 5 and it produces these big cones. So this cone is significantly bigger than that one, but it's only about half the normal size, and I think that's because there's been several years of very dry weather here. So
I see some big ones up there.
yeah, and I had a bug on me. So normally you would expect them to be about that size, and they stay tight closed, as do these, and the seeds, the pine nuts, are released only by fire. And the oak tree, that I can't get my tongue around, the Sclerophyllus oak, the acorns also germinate in soils high in potash. So what happens is a forest fire comes through moving fairly fast. It melts the resin that are holding these cones closed. The cones open up, the seed tumble out, they land in the soil that has been enriched with potash from the fire, and they can germinate. So if you're ever trying to germinate one of these for your garden at home, use
Set fire to it.
no, you can release them by popping it on top of a radiator. The heat of a radiator will open it up, the pine nuts will fall out, and then you can just pop it in a seed compost, but make sure the seed compost is high in potash, otherwise it won't germinate. The other thing is, I'm sure, Mo, you have eaten these many times.
Yeah.
So these pine nuts are edible.
Yeah.
I don't find them particularly tasty, but if they're boiled long enough and softened and
roasted, they're nice.
They're full of terpenes, so you really need to get the oils out of them, otherwise it's
They need to be roasted, yeah.
A little bit like eating petrol or kerosene. So.
They're slow roasted, they're nice.
Yeah. So that's where we are. We're in pine and oak forest, and we're going to climb up through the pine and oak forest and get a little bit higher up if I eventually stop talking.
Here we go!
What's it? Ow! Mo's still got a sore ankle.
We'll come to a split.
We have indeed.
Water goes that way.
So this is, it's just a little channel that we built to feed water into the hydro scheme that I mentioned earlier. So that is the track that I built, and it gets narrower and narrower, and it climbs up through the cliffs.
It gets steeper as well.
Very, very steep at the top, and it's really bonny. But today,
Butterfly. Look at that butterfly.
oh yeah, beautiful butterfly.
Beautiful butterfly.
Today we're going to go up the old horse track, which will involve crossing this river, which will be quite easy because it's been so dry. In the wet season this river was surprisingly difficult to get across.
Clear.
Yeah, beautifully clear, and this comes down from the station. So let's cross my little channel. We'll go around here.
Oh! That's pretty.
Indigofera pendula. You can tell why it's called pendula. That's the leaves there. It's in
You
the
see the minority ethnic girls have that in their hair.
Yes, a member of the pea family. Oh, this river is barely a step.
It wasn't like this last time I came.
No. And lots of Pinus armandii on this path. And do you know what that signifies, Mo? All these pine cones here.
Open.
The local girls or boys have been up harvesting them. And they'll
take the seeds.
They'll have a pan load of seeds to take home for some delicious snacks later on. So, and we were always quite keen to make sure that they could continue these traditional practices because they take so little from this huge area that we look after. I'm saying that we look after in the present tense as if I'm still working here. It's a long time since I retired from here.
Well, they're still looking after the generation after generation.
Is that my legacy, Mo?
Well, the pine nuts harvest.
No, the Botanic Garden and Field Station.
Yeah, it is. Well, definitely not your YouTube channel.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is not going to be much of a legacy. No, it's still a little bit short of 1 million.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, actually more or less 1 million short of 1 million.
Oi! Oi! Was that your drinking?
It is 22 of my 5 a day. It's a vegetable juice.
Smoothie type of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Japanese.
With 22
vegetables in it, so
yeah.
it must be disgusting.
It's pretty, when it's warm it's...
Made in Japan. Oh, vitamin A, good.
Vitamin A, okay.
I think you're only supposed to have 1 a day.
Oh, 1 a day. Cheers, folks.
Is it disgusting?
Oh, it's amazing.
What does it taste like?
I don't know, but it's making my eyes water.
Is it like a juice or a soup?
It's like a cold soup that was prepared several days ago.
You're not selling it.
Well, give me another gear to get up the hill.
Okay.
You catching your breath, Mo?
I thought you were doing a selfie, but you were facing the other way.
I'm showing the folks the oak tree.
Okay.
And how the higher leaves above the height of the grazing animals are not jaggy, they're rounded leaves. Just the same way as our native holly is. You quite often get a real skirt around the base of very jaggy leaves to protect the tree from grazing. And then as you go up in the holly tree, the leaves become oval shaped in the case of holly, without many spines, or indeed often with no spines on them. So
what's these wee insects are surrounding us?
These little flies, they don't bite as far as I'm aware.
That's annoying.
They look like birch flies, remember?
Yeah.
But I don't think they bite. I don't recall being bitten by them. Maybe I move faster in these early years. I'm wondering if that's in focus, Mo. I think so.
They're really pretty hanging that way. Sometimes go a bit further, they'll better focus, and then go in. They're really pretty.
A little wild jasmine just growing in the forest. There's some more flowers over there.
It's really delicate, eh?
Yeah.
And there's a wee white one there.
This is our way forward. Another viburnum there.
Oh yeah.
You hear the birds?
We've got that.
We do indeed. We've got quite a lot of Chinese plants in our little garden. or a little bit of paradise. With the birds. There's a lot of pheasants here. Where? I haven't heard any this morning, but mostly in the evenings. Upwards. Got the camera rolling. Let the folks listen to the bird song. The bird call.
Maybe it's too hot at lunchtime. Oh, you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the leaves in the breeze.
Do you know that tree, Mo?
Do not test my plant ID.
It's Populus tremula, like
Trembling.
shaking.
Shaking.
The aspen. It's just the way you're shaking that camera. Can you pay attention if I'm going to talk to the folks?
There's like insects around my face.
Populus tremula. So if you look at the leaves of Populus tremula, see, even in the slightest of breeze, they're in motion. And the other plants round about are often still.
They don't.
And the reason for that, if you look at my hands, if that's the leaf blade, called the lamina, that's the leaf blade, and then that bit is the stalk. If I use my hand as the stalk, instead of having a stalk like that, it's got a flattened stalk. So there's always a surface presented to the wind. Let me show you. Take a leaf off. Sorry, poplar. Please may I borrow a leaf. So the flat leaf surface that everybody knows about. But if you look at the leaf blade, can you see it's flattened? Especially in near where it joins the leaf. So that flat surface. So it means that the wind can catch that and that, and it's Populus tremula. The aspen.
There's some plant harmed in making this video. Apologies, folks.
Oh, yeah, sorry, aspen. And aspens are circumpolar in the northern hemisphere. Oh my goodness, what does that mean? Circumpolar in the northern hemisphere basically means it's a technical way of describing a plant species that wraps right round the globe. So all my
So it's everywhere.
European and
America.
North American, Canadian subscribers, viewers will be able to go out and have a search about, and they'll find aspens just as we can in Scotland. So. And right next to it, I'm going to stop botanising soon, but this is Osmanthus, and it's a shrub that's very commonly used in the landscape in the United Kingdom. I see it all over Scotland. We've got one in the garden, and you might have drunk it before because they make a very sweet wine, a very sickly liqueur out of this. And so Osmanthus, this is Osmanthus delavei, and osmos means, it's a Greek word for scented, I believe, although I have no...
I don't think you have any Greek viewers, but if there are, please leave a comment.
Osmos, Osmanthus.
Look at this, Steve!
Oh, yeah, and what do we have here? We have a scandent, or climbing, one of these. So that's a jasmine, and that's another jasmine.
They've grown together, it's really nice.
Yeah, so scandent means it's almost like a herb or a climber. I think this is possibly a true climber because I can see it all the way in through the tree in behind there.
Oh, it's up there as well.
Yeah. And you know this one? This is a hypericum. Yeah, with the yellow flowers. The buds are just coming. So one of the shrubby hypericums. I think it's Hypericum unionensis. If in doubt, I'll call it unionensis.
What is your best bet?
My best bet. My best guess probably. Well, what do we have here, Mo?
Ooh, that looks like Aracima.
It's an arrow. Oh, well done.
Score me.
Score you, amateur botanist. So Aracima, some people call them lords and ladies, the western species, not the Asian species. So
We've got some.
we have a beautiful one called Aracima consanguineus, which is a really, really beautiful one. I think consanguinea instead of us. Get my endings, my botanical endings. My Latin has to get up to scratch again. So that's a rarity and just coming into flower. I don't know which one it is. Maybe
That's such a weird looking thing.
They're beautiful things, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, extremely odd.
Very odd looking. It's not symmetrical either. It's like most things are quite...
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, we spoke about asymmetry with the three cluster needles and the 5 cluster needles, but plant parts are arranged very symmetrically, and you'll know more about it than I do. The Fibonacci series, these sequences, well, the plant parts, whether it's branches on a tree, petals on a flower, the segments of a pine cone, the scales, or the structures of this bulbous or rhizomatous, to be more accurate, plant. They're all arranged in a particular way that follows the Fibonacci series. Wow, the folks are getting some botanical training today.
I was like, this is a bit too... Oh, there's another one there.
Oh, there is indeed. Anyway,
Quite a few are around here, which is good to see.
hike on, you've got a long way to go.
You better take this before I fall over.
What do you mean fall over? Can you... Oh, I just got a message. Can you feel the altitude a little bit?
Yeah, my left tempo is a little bit tight and I think I need to drink some more because I haven't peed all morning.
Oh my goodness.
It's a sign.
That's a lot of information to share.
Well, it's high altitude mountaineering knowledge. What are you talking about? I'm being scientific here.
We're going to leave the cover of the trees for about the next...
The sunblock. This is high altitude. You get burned in like less than a minute.
Ultraviolet. So we'll switch the camera off for a wee while, folks. We'll join you when we get this bit. We're going to get our heads down and hike this bit quite quickly. As quickly as we can with this altitude.
I don't think our arms are protected, so let's go fast.
Okay, let's go. That's an open version of the flower that we filmed a wee while ago, Mo. That's the Hypericum. And the yellows are actually very difficult for the GoPro. It doesn't seem to like them at all. A little bit out of focus. I'll go in and see. Pine flowers are pretty.
Huh?
Pine flowers.
Oh right.
Actually, they're not flowering plants, they're not angiosperms, they're gymnosperms, so they don't actually have flowers, they have strobili. But they serve the same purpose.
Look at these pine cones. Look at these immature ones. The green ones. See?
Yes.
I haven't seen them before.
They're a little bit early for harvesting, but good indication for the seed collector that we're going to have a seed year. I wonder if the folks can see through the trees beyond that aspen to the snow village. The little village on the plain below, it's about 1,000 feet below.
There's a beautiful butterfly there, just landing there. Oh wow. Look at that.
A beautiful rhododendron.
Oh, there's a butterfly now.
Yeah.
Go on. Delicate rhodie. That's really beautiful.
I'm pretty sure it's Rhododendron unionensis. I've used the specific epithet unionensis a lot, but it's because it's used here a lot.
It's so delicate and light pink.
So unlike some of the other rhododendrons that we were looking at earlier, Mo, this is called a lepidote rhododendron. There's two types. There's a dichotomous split in the genus. Well, that's an oversimplification, but there are many splits. But there's a big split between lepidote and elepidote. Lepidote rhododendrons are ones that have got scales on the undersurface of the leaves. and the elepidote don't have scales. And this is one of the lepidotes. And I think I'm right in saying that this is a very fine specimen of Unionense. However,
It's really full at the top. We see that.
yeah, I hope
Full of flowers.
it's struggling with the dry weather.
I know,
not
not
many
much
leaves. No. But the monsoon rains are not far away.
Hopefully they don't have another dry season.
Yes. We're going to leave the big path behind. The big path goes to the right, which is the way that the horses go. Up there.
Okay. The horses go that way.
Yes. Which is not easy. But we're going to go through this little pass, which actually looks much easier for the horses until 200 or 300 metres further on. And then there's a number of rocky steps that require a little bit of gentle scrambling, but we'll manage it no problem at all. So we'll need to use our hands to get up, but we'll be okay. I'm just standing here. This is turning into a real
Look at that.
botanical.
A fiery thingy.
Do you know what it is? See if I can zoom in for the folks.
What is that?
They got lots of sun flare on the lens. There it is there. Well, that's better. You can see it now. It's mistletoe. It's a Chinese mistletoe.
Well, I won't be kissing you. I've got a cold.
Okay. It's a species of viscum.
Oh, there's everywhere, yeah. What?
Oh, there's
one, two, they're full of it.
There's a better one to photograph.
There. They're literally everywhere, on every tree here.
So the parasitic plants living off the host. In this case, they're living off a poplar host, an aspen host, if you like. So, yeah. Mistletoe. Chinese mistletoe. They're almost invisible in the forest.
Huh?
They're almost invisible. The dappled shade.
Well, it's steep.
It's quite steep, yes.
Hello.
Hello. The path I built up to the station, Mo, is across there, and at this point it's higher on that flank, and it winds its way through a big rocky outcrop.
I remember
A
first
cliff.
time I came to the station, I went on your track.
Yes.
It's longer than this,
It is longer.
but it's flatter than this.
Yeah. And actually, I prefer this track. I prefer the ancient route, but I didn't want.
Did you build that track so few people use this one, so you don't have to share?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. No, I wasn't quite as conniving as that. I decided to put our track on the far side because two reasons. One, it's botanically quite rich across there with some really big trees, and the crag, the little cliff, has got quite a lot of alpine plants growing on it. And so it was good when we had visiting scientists coming to the station to stop and to allow them to do a little bit of botanizing. But my main reason for being over there was to allow the Nashidzu, the indigenous people, to continue using this ancient trade route. I didn't want for them to feel excluded from their own land. So we allowed them free access. And obviously, coming up the track today, there's very little, if any, evidence of horses, so they're not using it anymore. I think they've got
Cars.
they've got cars now. They've got different employment altogether.
Yeah.
So, and that is good for them, but it's a win-win because it's good for the station lands as well, because this forest is denser than it was, say, 10 years ago, and certainly a lot denser than it was 25 years ago when I first started exploring
A lot less
it.
harvesting.
Yeah, there's not so much predation for firewood and for medicinal plants, and and other yeah, plant stuffs used for food and whatever. Anyhow, we've got one little scrambly bit, and then we're going to pass a lovely little alp with the sarcococca, the scented plant that we have in our garden at home, and then after that we've got a steep climb up, and then the lake and the station. So we'll switch the camera on for you folks once or twice, but we need to move because there's a lot of flies here. So there's the sarcococca. I'll try and take my shadow out of the shot. This is Sarcococca humilis, and I think it's the red flowered variety called Degaina. Some people call it Sarcococca Degaina, give it its own species name. So we have humilis and confusa and Degaina in our garden at home. So quite familiar. People used to say to me when I lived here for months and months on end, do you ever get homesick? I said, no, I'm surrounded by friends, none of whom talk back.
The best kind of friends.
Yeah. My flowers and my plants.
There we are!
Back in the day I built this grand entrance to my house.
Chinese style.
And I can't remember, I think it's 108 steps. So when we were building this place, I lived on this flat meadow area here with construction workers, and we established a decent sized camp here. It was essentially a big tarpaulin, and we gathered up some pine supports, the stems of pine trees, and we built a framework and we put the tarpaulin over it, and then we gathered pine needles and we put them over the top of the tarpaulin for insulation. So it was waterproof and reasonably warm over the winter months. So I spent the best part of 2 years living under that tarpaulin with local lads. And at first they wanted me, they made a wee room on the end, so it was just one long house, and there was a wee bit on the end for me, so I had a bit of privacy. But it was freezing cold, and we had 2 wood stoves in it, and I insisted on positioning myself in between the 2 wood stoves, which we did all the cooking on, but it was nice and warm, and we all just slept like ranks of sardines in a tin, sleeping on a big elevated platform, just like a bit like boating in Scotland. And we were all sandwiched in, and it was nice and cosy warm. One of the young lads and I, we had a morning competition. I was a bit younger in these days, folks. The work site, we were building the station, I'll take you up and show you in a minute. So I think it's 108 steps up there, and we always raced up to the top. And I could beat all the young guys except this one lad.
He was born and raised here.
Yeah, he was young and he was strong, and he was a lovely young man. Until one morning I beat him thoroughly, but it's because I tied his trouser legs together, and so he's trying to pull his trousers on, and there's a big knot in them, and I was already halfway up. So
108 is a lucky number.
yeah, I think it's 108. I'm not going to count them. Let's hike up.
Grand entrance to the house. Who has this many stairs in front of the house?
There is a wee road.
How is Tesco going to deliver?
Well, they would complain about that. When I was building the station and we had more or less completed it, I wanted a wee tractor. So I bought 2 tractors. I bought a tiny little one, a wee compact tractor, and got it delivered to Yushwijai, the water village down at the bottom there, and dropped off. And then I spent a couple of days taking it to bits and took the wheels off and stripped it down quite far, and we carried most of it up on horseback, but the rear axle and diff were too heavy for any horses to. A lot of it was pulled up on the, you know, the horses have these wooden sleds, they've not got wheels on them, but you can pull them up, but it was too heavy. So much to the consternation of the horsemen, I had to get the front wheels sent down, because the front wheels fitted on the back, of this rear axle, which is quite bizarre because you wouldn't expect that to be possible.
So the horses just pull it?
And then they pulled the
tractor up?
Well, the rear axle, the rear bit of it, which was the bit that was presenting all the trouble. So we managed in bits and pieces and fits and starts to get that wee tractor up, and then we put it back together. But it never actually ran very well.
Yeah, well, so there's no oxygen here.
I think that was partly my mechanicking. It was one of these, it wasn't a pressurised cooling system, so it just had the little water reservoir that bubbled and steamed away, and called a bun chair because of the noise it makes.
Bung bung chair.
And eventually I bought another one. I bought a dump truck. I actually bought that in Kunming, so quite a big carbon footprint.
A delivery is going to be pretty incredible.
I got it delivered from Kunming to Lijiang. They wouldn't bring it all the way over here, and one of my workers drove it from Lijiang most of the way here, and then we actually, by that time there was a little bit of a road, and we managed to drag it and drive it most of the way. And I'm hoping that
they're still here.
Yeah,
probably it's just disposed of the thing already in the last 10 years.
It'll be a bag full of iron oxide by now, I guess.
Know.
So. But anyway, getting back to the point, they laughed at me for buying a tractor without a road. But once I got the tractor, I built my own road. About 2 kilometres actually.
Is that why you want a tractor now and where we live?
It's exactly why I want a tractor. Lord of the manor driving around my estate in my tractor.
Doggy.
My station. Come on then.
Doggies.
Come on. Come on. How are you doing? Hey?
They look better fed now.
You're a bit dusty. You're a bit dusty. How are you? Are you okay? Hey? You want petting more?
Come on.
I had my own dogs when I lived here. And Go, my wee dog, stayed with me for 10 years.
Your dog is only called Dog.
My dog, yeah, Go in Chinese means dog, and my dog died. And we had a burial service for the dog, and we put up a wee tombstone. We decided to give him a name. We called him Baoshan.
Protector of the mountain.
Protector of the mountain, my wee dog. So.
Well, it was on the payroll.
He was on the payroll, yeah. He was. And I went back to Scotland and to the company that I worked for and submitted the invoice for the dog. It raised a few eyebrows. Let's go and say hello to my pal. Ni hao.
Told me that you will come. Glad to see you again.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Ni hao, ni hao.
Say hello to my friends in Scotland and around the world. So this is the caretaker of the station. I had 4 caretakers when I lived and worked here. They're all retired, and we have this
young man,
strong young man. 他们退休，对不对？
他们退休了都。
Yes.
对，Mr.
你好，你好。
And a young seed scientist. Yes?
Yeah.
I
Look at his T-shirt.
With the seeds.
Seeds. Yeah.
Seeds. And my room was up there. We'll go and have a look at my room. So
It's been so long.
I lived for 10 years in that little room.
Yep, built this place.
It's open. My pot's gone.
There's your room. For 10 years. I've got aircon now.
We're just filming, are you?
Yeah.
So this was my humble abode for the best part of 10 years, folks. This little room and a sitting room next door. This building is built in the, take my hat off, in the traditional Nashi style. And there's one little feature. Well, there's a few features that I changed. One thing that if you're a Nashi person, you'll realise that the doors are higher, and that was because this is an international research station with lots of tall foreigners like myself, and I didn't want to drain myself every time I came in here. So
And Nashi doors are like half the size.
yeah, so I made the doors a little bit bigger, and when we put the windows in, all these windows, in the gable end here, I put in this window, so when I was lying on my bed, I could see over the top of that pine tree to the edge of the col. And
Remember the
main...
night we stayed here?
Yes, aye.
Really windy, and now we could hear the howling of the wind.
Yeah, but all the trees have grown up since then, so you can't
see through.
If I move back here more, I'm going to have to cut the trees down, take the tops out of them. So,
take your chainsaw.
Yeah. So, and sorry, I'm asking more to put the camera on me so you can see me. The years that I stayed here, the 10 years, there was no electricity, and it was one of the very final jobs that I did before I left was put electricity in. So that track that we hiked today, the original electricity line was buried alongside that track. So unlike the national parks in Scotland,
now everything overhead.
Yeah, that,
like what we're thinking.
Julie to wherever the super pylons.
Well, I'd say I'm not very happy with them.
Yeah. So but, we put our cable underground.
Yeah, and
I believe that there's more power in
well,
here.
Well, it's over 3,000 meters, 3,200 meters in elevation here, and they can do it underground. What's their excuse?
Yeah, money. So.
Well, you were on a tight budget too.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So
anyhow, I noticed that a lot of my personal belongings have disappeared from the room, which is probably a good thing as long as they're in the storeroom, because it means my room is being used, and I haven't been using it personally for a long time. So one of the reasons for coming today was to hand back my room and say I don't really need it anymore.
Yep.
I don't plan on living here again.
Yep.
Although we might have a night here before we go home.
Maybe.
Do you want to introduce where we are?
Yeah, this is the canteen of the station. I remember having barbecue here.
Yeah, this is on the little terrace where
before I left
where we ate.
For Beijing, I think.
And the dog.
Yeah.
For rat control. And this is this is where we met, on this terrace actually.
Well, not first time, but we were.
Yeah.
This is why you handed me your name card. That's how everything.
Oh yeah.
Started.
So I had been on the South Summit, and the meeting
was down there.
Yes, and the meeting started at 11 o'clock, but I summited the South Summit at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I hiked back down here, and I met the international delegates of which you were part. You weren't on the Chinese side. I was on the Chinese side.
And the delegation had a lunch and barbecue here on this terrace.
Yeah. And this is the dining room here, although it was a beautiful day. We ate outside.
I remember we had fruits and drinks here, and then I had to leave early with my boss to go to Beijing for another conference.
Yes.
And then you handed me a really old crumpled name card.
Yeah. So the dining room was our conference room as well, and we had a generator here that I set up just in behind the little glass house there, which I also built, and we had lots of international meetings here. The reason, folks, that the station is looking worse for wear is because it's effectively the old building has been replaced by a swanky new building, which is away across there beyond the lake, and it's got showers and also internet and everything.
But with COVID, there's been a few years without any visitors.
Yeah. So the chap inside, let's go inside and I'll introduce you to him. He doesn't speak English, but this chap here is going to do some egg and tomato for me. Yeah, he is one of my staff, so he was a very young man when he first started here. So.
他在介绍你呢。
老张都回去了。
对。
老张还有大师细生的。
对。
还有那个老客户，赵氏沈氏。
因为我退休，我是老人。
我这还在5年。
你还有5年？It's 5 years away from retirement.
现在差不多干了18年、19年了。
哦，18、19年啊 ，He's been here for 18 years.
More than 8 years.
8 years. I have been away for 10 years. I left 10 years ago. I left. 10年我退休。但是我不会苏格兰，我去昆明事务所，我在那个地方工作3年，然后去什么地方？我去大连，中国东北工作。
哎，英语汉语也很好啊。
有一点点。
我们做一下。
所以他认识嘛，他们认识那个以前的人在这儿。
We're reminiscing, folks. That's what we're doing.
I'm gonna have a rest.
You're a nice dog.
你不是宝山。
不是宝山. Baoshan was my little dog. Was 1 in a million. I never have a dog like it again. It was quite smelly, but boy was it loyal. And it was an enigma on the Yulong Mountain because it was the only dog on the Yulong Mountain that didn't speak any Chinese at all. I trained it completely in English, and it would only react to English commands. It followed me faithfully over the Yulong Mountain, and in the spring, summer and autumn months it was fine because it slept in the porch of my tent, and in the winter months, it came in and you know, it would find a way into the tent. Quite often I would just pitch the outer tent, just carry as little weight as I could, and it would slide under the fly sheet of the tent, and I was lying on my mat, and I'd wake up in the morning with this smelly dog underneath my legs on my sleeping pad.
It feels almost impossible now, looking back on what you've achieved, to achieve it now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pretty challenging conditions.
The interesting thing is there was a vision. So I had a vision to build this biological research station, and the biggest job was to get other people to share that vision. And getting people like the British ambassador. So I worked with 3 ambassadors, Sir Anthony, Sir Christopher, and then latterly Sir William, who we visited last year. Getting people to share that vision, the ambassadors, to put in seed money through the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and then overseas business interest in China. So first of all, Nigel from Billiton, which later became BHP Billiton, and after a merger or a takeover, I guess. And Clinton took over after that. Then getting buy-in from the scientists. And interestingly, it was easier to get buy-in from scientists in China than it was in the UK. It was very difficult to get buy-in from the science community in the UK, but we did it. And then, of course, the most important is getting the local people to agree to it all, especially local government.
I didn't expect a hot meal today for lunch. I was packing like bread and crisps and juice, but we're having a treat.
Yeah, and they're working away still.
We're making some more.
Yeah. I think there's rice on the go there as well, so we're...
Uh-oh.
Oh. Looks like it's...
I have a massive wok.
It's vegetables that are coming out of the wok. So.
I think the canteen used to feed quite a few people at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, 好啊，谢谢。
吃，你们太不好意思了，我没想。
哦，你弄太多了。
没事，马上我们。
真的好吃，谢谢。
好吃。没事。
怪我。
不怪。我们都带了面包的。
你们吃饱了？
你们吃了吗？
我已经吃了。因为是今天早上就是那个种子的会议了嘛，岁子。
他们已经来了。
对。
好。
Many people 回去了。
对。他们吃饭在这儿或者在那边？在这儿。
We eat with them. So sorry.
嗯，
没有问题。
这个马上好。
哎，好的，好的，好的，没问题，没问题。
马上好。
That's the accommodation block for the local staff. There's a little bothy up there that the staff live in while they're on duty. And this is the road that I built, Mo. This is the one that everybody laughed at, and I excavated the platform for the glass houses. And believe it or not, this road was dug by hand. These walls, Callum's Road, Rassi revisited, so built these little walls. We dug this out by hand. I did have up to 100 workers at times, so it's maybe not such a big achievement as you might think. Oh, and you see what I see in the machine shed. So this is my road. I built this with a wall. The fence wasn't there. The fence is new, but this retaining wall. And then it goes all the way up, and we cleared that platform, all dug by hand. And the road wasn't tarred at that time. But here's my vehicle, which was a big treat. I bought this for myself. Yeah, so my little run around, you can hardly see it. It's taken up by all this.
I haven't moved in a long, long time.
No, it hasn't. So it's an old friend, and you see, I got the deluxe model, Mo.
Deluxe model.
It had a roof on it. It had a
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth. No, it didn't have Bluetooth. Had a canvas roof on it, and that's the dumper bit there. It's got flat tires, and I bought extra wheels with it. So I didn't just buy the deluxe model. I bought some spares as well. I bought a couple of extra front wheels which were prone to puncturing on the sharp limestone here, and I got one extra back wheel. And it's water cooled, let me show you, but not pressurized, so the water just bubbles away in there right next to you, and every now and again
It splatters.
yeah, you get your arm burnt by some boiling hot water. I have to go and sit on it, Mo. Do you want to take the camera?
Yeah, wait, I'll put this off here.
It was easy to start. It had a starting handle, but it had an electric start on it as well. It's very modern for its time. Somebody stole my seat cushion though. It's not going to be very comfortable for driving around.
Well, it looks a bit small for you though.
I've got my rucksack on, it was okay. It had lights.
What the hell is this thing hanging here? Look.
Oh, that was my spade. That wasn't mine. That's somebody's spade. Look, windscreen, lights, fuel gauge.
Well, can you gauge anything there? No.
And it had the most slopey. Oh, the gearbox is not seized. The most slopey gearbox that you could ever imagine. 3-speed. That's reverse. That's first, second, third. And then over there is reverse. So 3 speeds. You only ever went into third gear if you were feeling particularly brave, because the brake wasn't very good. But I had all my routes planned, so the reason I bought it was, it's covered in spider webs here, there is an ancient old quarry, a little quarry, about a kilometre away beyond the lake, and so I built that road,
Path.
wee path. Yeah. And when we were building all these walls, so I just showed the folks the wall there, and you'll see there's loads of terraces up at the nursery. We'll go up there and have a little look. Anyhow, when I built them, I needed stone, and there was only so much stone that we could harvest from the forest. It's surprisingly difficult to find stone, and a lot of work collecting it if you can fill the dumper up at an old quarry. So we did. and we just had, we didn't have a jackhammer or anything, but we had heavy hammers, and the stone is pretty brittle, so we could break the stone into the sizes that were small enough for 2 people to throw it in the dump truck. And then when we got here, we lifted this lever here, which seems to still be working, and there's a hook there, and gravity just flipped it out, so I'm not going to lift that because everything that's
In there.
will probably fall out. Happy days. My company car.
I remember that photo of you when you were building this.
Yeah. Remember a photograph of me standing in my high-vis jacket. So
Yeah.
I lived and worked on the mountain, but I bought most of my clothes from the industrial section of Machine Mart. And I had my high-vis jacket on and standing here posing. That was for a report that I had to do for the office back in Edinburgh. With all my babies, all my young plants. So, some nice things here. These scutellarias, that won't mean anything to anybody. But when we built this greenhouse, this was brought up here on horseback. This greenhouse in little bits. You see the dog tail walking along there.
He's coming to check us out.
Hello. So, and in small parts on horseback, and then reassembled once we got here. Anyhow, folks, my GoPro is almost out of power. So Mo and I are going to hike around the station. The station lands are very extensive. We're going to hike around for a wee while more this afternoon. And the old adage of climb high, sleep low is really important in the big hill. So we're at about 11,000 feet here, something like that. What we're going to do is go back down to the market town of Lijiang tonight, and we'll find a billet for the night. We'll sleep there, and then we're going to come back to the mountains tomorrow, by which time I'll have recharged my camera, and I'll switch the camera on probably not tomorrow morning. I think we'll get our heads down and we'll climb high quite quickly, and then we're going to descend tomorrow. We're going
Go to the village?
Yeah, we're going to go up. We're going to go up and over.
Yeah.
So we won't film any of the ascent tomorrow, but we'll film a little bit of the descent and down into the village. I'm going to visit some old friends, Mr. Dwan, who is long since retired. He's in his 70s now, but according to, I was having a chat with one of the other staff today, and he says, what he said was his body is in really good shape because he's still climbing every day, he's still going to the mountain every day. So we'll go and visit him, see if he's around, and see how he's doing, maybe have lunch with him, and we'll take you with us, folks. So I'm going to sign off for a wee while, and Mo and I, we've still got several hours here, but we're going to enjoy them on our own. So I'll check in with you again tomorrow. Say bye for now, Mo.
Bye!
Clematis Montana, Mo. Isn't that beautiful? In the forest. There's a wet flush down there with rhododendron hypophioides, a little blue flowered rhododendron. That last one that we saw was rhododendron decorum. Hello there, folks. We're at the back entrance of Lijiang Galsan Jiwuyan, Lijiang Alpine Botanic Garden. So we've hiked through the garden, which I recorded yesterday actually, and we're going to go and visit some friends in the neighbouring village. So we've had a few hours of hiking today. I'm eating a sweetie. I've got a dry throat with a high altitude, so pardon me. So we're going to visit some friends, and I'll put the camera on now and again. We'll show you the wee village and maybe introduce you to my old pal Mr. Dwan, who served as caretaker under me for 10 years or more. Looking forward to that. Well, let's go, hike on.
Water.
So that's where we're heading, Mo. We're going down. That's the Winhai Lake.
So literally one sea.
Win Sea. So hai in Chinese means sea, and it's used extensively in the interior provinces because the people are so far from the sea that any decent body of water becomes a sea. And I can see
I can see the sea.
I can see the sea. I can see they built a dam at the end of it, so it's not as pretty as it once was. So we're going down there, but we have to find the track. So when I served at the field station, this road wasn't here.
I remember last time it came was a track.
Yeah, it was a track. Well, it started off just as quite a narrow horse track, and I tramped up and over it many times, heading down to visit my staff down in Winhai. And I went down there for a little break from life at the station and stayed with them for a night or two, and also used the drainage, the valley system that goes down there on the right behind that little spur there, beneath the ridge that you see in the distance. Eventually drops all the way down to the Yangtze River, so relatively easy to navigate. But as I grew more familiar with the terrain, I actually went in through these forests up and over and dropped down that way to the Yangtze, which was a tougher climb and descent, but much shorter in distance. So there's a little track there, Mo, but I think if we go up here we'll get easier going. So we'll hike this road. All this development since I left actually makes it a little bit difficult to navigate. So it doesn't look much of a track, Mo, but I'm pretty sure
Well, somebody has been there.
that this is the way. And once I get onto the track proper, I'll start recognising plants and features,
Okay.
even boulders. Let's go and see. I'll very quickly tell you if we're going the right way or not. Through the oak forest. Yes, this is correct. Quite well hidden from the wee road. Eh? So that other wee one that we saw is there, but you see it's overgrown a little bit further up. But here it's obvious. Yeah, and this little bit of exposed rock is very familiar to me because it's super slippy when it's wet or when there's a layer of ice on it. I don't think we have to worry too much about ice today. Maybe we should tell the folks the temperature. It's pushing 30 degrees, folks.
No, actually, it's about above today. It's about 32, 33.
32, 33 degrees.
But not here. It's down at the...
Yeah, at lower elevation. We're at about still at about 11,000 feet. So.
But it's definitely above 28, 29.
It's hot. It's hot.
It's very sunny.
It's hot for a Scotsman.
Well, yeah, no, for me too.
Yeah.
I'm from the deep north.
Yeah. I was in show Jungwen in Chinese. She's a Jungo Dongbe Ren, a northeast person. Anyhow, we're blethering. We're going down here. I wish the folks could smell the forest. It is absolutely glorious.
It's fragrant, huh?
It's fragrant. The heat is pulling the resin from the pine trees, and the air is resin heavy.
Yeah.
And then a lot of these little rhododendrons, these ones here, excuse me, damaging rhododendrons, they're full of essential oils. So can you smell that, folks? Mo can smell it for you. So they're very fragrant, and in this heat. So these volatile oils are released into the atmosphere, and so this is named after one of my predecessors, named after a gentleman, a Scots gentleman who worked at the Botanic Garden in Edinburgh. His name was George Forrest, and he was a legend of the plant hunting community. I think he lived in Pennycook and hiked in, walked into Edinburgh every day to go to work, and then walked back after work. So this is a Pyrrhus. It's a Pyrrhus formosa. Formosa because it occurs in Taiwan as well, and the variety is Forestii, as I say, named after George Forrest. So Pyrrhus formosa var Forestii, and that's it in flower, and lovely autumn colour. The older leaves go scarlet red in the autumn.
Oh wow.
Can folks see that? Shall I go in? Another specimen of Rhododendron unionense. I mentioned yesterday.
That beard thing, Dave.
Oh, shall we have fun with the beard, the old man's beard?
There are not as many as when we came last time.
It's a little bit too dry, yeah.
Yeah. But they're really dry this time.
Yeah.
Or crispy now.
Yeah, it's all crispy. So this is a lichen called old man's beard, and it's in the genus Usnea, U-S-N-E-A. Go girl! Don't stop, you've still got about 10k to go. Just a moment. Quite confusing to the right. Okay. I was telling Mo that I hiked this in the dark dozens and dozens of times, possibly hundreds of times, with a poor head torch lit out a little bit of a glow. Although it may seem complicated because there's a fairly vast network of these little tracks, a lot of which just peter out, to be honest. There's a few points where you can get your bearings, such as here. So we would not want to go up that way, Mo, here, so we have to...
There's a wee red thing here.
Remember. Oh, so there is, somebody's trail marked. That's not mine. So this is one of the important junctions.
So we need to go that way.
We need to go up that way to the right, yeah.
Markers.
And now we're going down this way, and there's a little wet flush here, and there used to be some Roscoia, little gingers, and some anemones, and one or two wee gentians. Although it's super dry for the time of the year, the monsoon rains are way overdue, and this little wet flush here is also an important navigational point. You can tell it's wet because there's a little bit of marsh marigold flowering there, and there's some primulas. Can you see them?
But it's bone dry today.
It is bone dry, yes. And so that actually goes down to the village that we're going to, but that is not the way that we're going. We're going to Mr. Dwan's house, and he sits beneath the crag where I discovered the Incurvilia lutea, the yellow Incurvilia.
We'll go right.
We go right, but let's go across this wee meadow and we'll show the folks this little wet flush. Where did I see that primula? No, that's the yellow one is the marigold, the marsh marigold, Caltha. Hey, I saw a little Did I just make that up? Oh, there's a little gentianella anyway, there. Tiny little oh, there it is. Look, I saw it.
Yeah, I saw that pointed at the pink thing.
Bonnie, yeah? And
it's incredible, they're still flowering in this dry.
yeah, there's a little bit of moisture
there's
over
a
there.
bit of water there.
Anyway, this is our track here. Oh, look,
Loads of here.
in the shadow. Primulas. Glorious, folks, absolutely glorious.
There's a little bit flowering here and there. Yeah.
These are the little, they're now officially within the genus Gentiana, so they're gentians, but when I was a young scientist they were called gentianellas. Let's go and see what the yellow flower over there is. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It might involve getting wet feet. So the big leaves are ligularias, and they're
waterproof shoes.
Yeah, I have got waterproof. Are your shoes waterproof as well? Let's go across because it looks like it might be a spurge, one of the euphorbias. Oh, it's very wet.
Yeah.
Can we get across there without?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
No, you can't. Look how deep it is. But it is a euphorbia. See it?
Yeah.
I'm showing the folks from a distance. I don't want to get all wet.
It's incredible. Everything is so dry on the mountain. This is a bit wetland.
I'll go round. You stay there. I'll see if I can get round and show the folks these unusual Chinese plants. Look at that bonny little spurge, and well, I hurt a plant again. It doesn't hurt them very much. Show them the milky sap you've got to be careful of. It's an irritant, a skin irritant, but it's particularly bad for your eyes. You can see it on the edge of the leaf there, just about. The plants are so dry that you can hardly see it.
There's a bit of water down here.
Yeah. Okay, let's hike on. Another plant mow. That's an interesting one. So we're in an area that's been disturbed, and that's a pioneer plant. It's a elderberry, but unlike our shrubby elderberry that can form a large shrub or a small tree, that's a herbaceous one. So no woody stem. That's as woody as it gets. And
yeah,
it's quite a bonny thing. Yeah, scattered around here, and we're going that way through that little gap there. So Sambucus adnatus, it has, unlike our one that has the purple berries in the autumn, this one has orange berries. Oh, and here's another plant mo. This is
Look how jaggy it is.
This is a Principia, and can you see the shield bug on it there?
What?
The shield beetle.
Oh yeah, oh my god, that's vibrant.
It's a beauty, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if my GoPro's picking it up. So they don't bite, these things.
No, oh my god, don't disturb it.
They're fine, these things, they don't bite. Shield beetles on Principia, and this Principia is so thorned. I'm sure a lot of the scars on my body come from Principia.
Look at the size of the thorns.
Yeah. So I risked getting wet feet to show the folks that spurge.
Loads here.
So often in field work you risk life or limb to collect a specimen, and then you walk another 100 meters and you find a big one.
Right by the road, right.
Right at the side of the track. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's Euphorbia nematoscypha, but I'm not very sure, to be honest. We'll just call it a spurge. There's another one over there on the left. You can see the lake in the distance, the sea, yeah. The Erhai. Sorry, the Windhai, the high. The Erhai is a bigger lake in Yunnan near the market town of Dali. So I was Mixing up my names, it's the Winhai. The locals quite often call it Wimby High.
Why?
I don't know. Oh well, it used to be such a peaceful little place. The road to Winhai was built probably... So my work at the station started in 1999, and I should speak to the folks properly. My work at the station started in 1999 with a concept for a biological research station. 1999 I was working on a different project. I designed and built the British Garden at the Kunming Horticultural Exposition. But it gave me opportunity to come here on a number of occasions and meet with the local government to assess potential sites for the station and to start the process of fundraising. And my work at the exposition was largely supervised by the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office, so I had access to fairly senior diplomats who helped with the fundraising and the support for the station idea. At that time there was no road across to Winhai, and I think the road to Winhai probably came... I served from 1999 to 2009 at the station, and then my involvement after that became more sporadic. So I think it was probably about midway during that point that the road was put in.
So you're talking about we can just basically drive back to Lijiang now?
Yeah, you could drive to Lijiang now, but we're not going to. We're going to hike up and over the mountain and down the other side.
Why?
Because that's what we do. So Winhai, it was a remote little village up until about, I guess that would be, I'm guessing 2005, something like that, when the road went in. And at first it was a dirt road, and now it's a stone road. Perhaps even macadam road, I'm not sure. I haven't been on it for a long time. I drove it once just to say that I'd done it, and then I reverted to hiking. This is going to be a long video with a lot of chat.
Oh, good music.
So I always felt that Mr. Dwan's farm, perched under this little crag, was in one of the most beautiful locations. Yeah, just looking at that meadow.
Look at that cattle there. All those cattle.
Cattle.
Cattle across the...
I thought you said
way.
kettle.
Not kettle, cattle.
So we've got this little outcrop of limestone and we have to scramble down. It's quite steep, and Mr. Dwan's house, my old friend, is positioned at the bottom of this little crag. And
Dwan may be out there with the cattle.
He might be, we might know. We didn't tell him that we're coming, so his wife will be there, or perhaps his daughter. I think his son-in-law is playing a much more active role in the farm now. What a glorious little village. And you know, I don't resent them the road at all. It is definitely making their life much easier. They can get their produce to market, and I can see a quad bike or something on the
or a three-wheeler.
Yeah, three-wheeler actually, on the meadow now. And
the village cottages, look.
Yeah, you see the herdsman with his umbrella. It's shining in the sun every now and again, a parasol.
Yeah.
So we're going to go down here. So life has definitely got better for them. There's no doubt about that at all. And following down that flank away in the distance and to the left heads eventually to the Yangtze River. Let's scramble down. I might put the camera away more because this is not a good place to have a fall. These limestone rocks are sharp. Take care here, okay? Oh, look at this little Daphne, Mo. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So delicate. A little Chinese Daphne. And, oh, there's a rooster there. And can you see the pine needle stacks for winter insulation for the animals? So they don't actually eat it. But it does keep them, they lie on it, keeps them warm. The wee Daphne, I've not been given the names of every plant because I know that most people that tune into the channel are not so interested, but it's Daphne aurantiaca, and quite a rare little Daphne just growing in the limestone rocks here. Do you see the pine needles? Yes, they gather them up and carry them from the forest, and you see the plastic there on the top stop the water going in, so they're very dry. It's a wonderful floor for the cattle sheds for the winter time. These
baby chickens.
Is there baby chickens there? So that little track, oh, so there is. That little track goes down to Mr. Dwan's neighbour's house here, and this is Mr. Dwan's gate here. So let's see if he'll let us in, if there's somebody here. Ni hao! Ni hao! Hando, shijian bujian! This is Lao Dwan's wife, I guess.
老段在家吗？在家呀。
Oh, ta-da!
打电话，刚才打电话没接。
Let's not step on the grain. Hey, 你好，你好，你好，老朋友。
吃饭吃饭。
啊，你要吃饭？不要，Can you take that?
我们就来看看你。大卫说来看看你。
哦，好。
他说要来看看你。
How about egg with them?
OK。
哦，谢谢你，老段。
谢谢。好嘞，谢谢。也。
哎，身体好。
身体不行了。
啊，谢谢。
为什么？
为什么不行了？
是老问闭门的。
啊？
喝水吗？
啊，不要。
不用喝水，不用，我们有水。
啊，你看起来好，真的看起来好。
不洗了。
哎。
挺好。
嗯。
啊，不太热了。
太热了，
天太热，对。
穿的太多了。
对呀，你说的是对的。
不喝水了。
不喝了。
不喝了，我们有。
带了水了。
真的没有问题。嗯。
他就想过来看看你。
对。
啊？
是不是回植物园？
一会儿就回植物园，对。
对。我回植物园看去。
好，没你做。
不要做饭呢，不要做，我们一会儿就回去了，就来看看你，不吃饭，吃鸡蛋。
鸡蛋。
You can peel it for me.
OK 。现在你退休对不对？
还在那个水库。
对。上一次我在这儿，你在那个地方工作，那个水库。每一天去，或者每一个星期一天。
每天星期一
嘛。这个不容易，因为爬山。对。
你每个礼拜去一次，每个月去一次？ 看水库。
他听不懂。
我听不懂我说。
我也退休。
你也退休？
对，现在我是多大了？我65岁，对。你
73了。
73，
73。
看起来63，没有问题。你们的孩子好不好？
他们都死去了。
啊。
一个掉到那个城里面去了，没了。一直在那个城里面。有一个出水女。
Just for the viewers, I worked with Mr. Dwan for 10 years or more. Old friends, and in the corner there, before they had this wood stove, they had a little open fire before the wood stove, and there's an egg for you, Mo. We often sat there chewing the fat, metaphorically and literally, having our dinner there together, and then after darkness I would hike back up to the station, and Mr. Dwan would stay here. Happy days. Happy days.
现在太热了。
People are complaining about the heat, folks. They're saying it's too hot here. So.
But I still wear the same clothes.
Yeah. Mr. Dwan had a lovely pink tank top that his daughter knitted for him, and it was, the colour might have seemed a bit incongruous on the mountain, but boy, was it warm, and it made him recognisable from a long way away. I could approach the station and see Mr. Dwan hiking around. So.我特别高兴见到你，很多时间，6年。
没了6年了。
对。
Last visit we didn't meet him. We met his wife.
That's right. No, we did. We met him on the path. Yeah. The walking stick the last time. So. 谢谢你啊，谢谢。
没骑过吗？
我吃了。
这个够了。
够了。
够了。You'd be wondering, because I always ate loads when I was here, because I really enjoyed the food here better than the food at the station. His wife cooked up some lovely meals for us. 那个小孩子，第一次我回来1999年。那个小孩子，
他有个小女娃了。
真的？
去上学了。
哎呀。
两个啊。
一个叫的那个
上面去了一个。
This is why I was asking them. I don't know if it's horse or.
Is it horse? 这是马吗？
不是牦牛。
牦
yeah,
牦牛呀。
It's from the
yak.
The yak, yeah. 好了，拜拜，再见。
拜拜。
谢谢。OK， 慢点啊，慢点。
No, don't take him far.
Elderly now.
Yeah.
慢点，小心。
我去牵马。对。
看那些人去在骑马。
你的老家非常非常漂亮，特别舒服。
不行了。
现在丽江的地方特别忙。 不舒服，我不喜欢。晚上困难睡觉，没有安静。啊，谢谢你，谢谢你。
好，你慢慢。
对了，我
哎，
啊，谢谢
你慢慢回啊，慢慢小心回啊，小心啊。
谢谢你，老段啊。
小心回啊。
Van der Moe.
It's quite tough. I'm a lowlander.
I said on that wee Facebook post that I posted yesterday that we climbed 1,000 feet up to the station from the plateau below. It's 1,000 meters. It's actually a little bit more, almost 3,500 feet. So
yeah, we've done it twice in 2 days.
it was lovely to see Lao Duan, but he's just beginning to show his age a little bit. But he's very sure-footed coming up the wee track.
Well, I think physically he's very strong. Maybe some problem with his eyes.
Yeah. So he's a lovely man. We worked
strong.
together building all these walls, and the system, coming in a bit closer to try and shelter the camera from the wind, just one of these pine poles smoothed off a little bit with a strop down to the rock, and then 2 people lift the rock, position it, drop it down, release the strop, and go and get the next one. So so I did a few years of it, building the walls at the station, but Mr. Duan did many years of it. And quite often he'd work all day at the station, and then if he wasn't on duty overnight he would hike back down here, which, as you know, is a good couple of hours, and then he would do farm work and then be back at the station for 8 o'clock in the morning.
He's had a hard life, eh?
Yeah, but
he's happy. No, he's happy.
Yes. Right, we have an hour and a half to get back to the station, and then a good hour to go down. And then we have to see if we can get that Izu lady, the E-minority lady with a car, to come and pick us up and take us back to the village, the market town. So let's hike on. So Mo and I are in the taxi. We're heading to the snow village to meet an old colleague of mine who is now also retired.
Almost there.
Almost there. So the person that we're going to meet is a Nashi minority, and our taxi driver is an E-minority. So.
到了。
到了。啊，谢谢你，谢谢。
慢点哦。哎，好的。
好好好。So we've arrived close to the bus station, and we're looking for my old friend. I think I see my friend and colleague up ahead.
Are you going to wait for him?
Yeah, I'll give him a wave in a minute when I can't see clearly. We're still a few hundred meters away.
I think he's recognizing you.
He's coming down. Can you take the camera and film our reunion?
Okay.
We got off at the wrong bus stop. Oh, be careful, Mr. Jar, there's a Mercedes coming. We didn't have these problems back in the day. Oh,
这抽纸没注册了啊？抽纸呢？
什么？
抽纸你们？
哦，下车下早了。
很多时间不见啊。
好长时间没有见了。
哎。
我以为你们两个走路过来。
没有没有，他那打车的那个地方，他把我们放在前面那个，说小孩子坐车的地方。
我倒是记一下。
啊，漂亮的房子。
漂亮是吧？
漂亮的房子。
真的好。真的好。I'm not sure that I'd have been able to find it again.
Oh, look at the ham.
Hello.
你好。
你好，我的小孙女。
Ah, his granddaughters.
谢谢你，谢谢你。
你别干了。
谢谢你。So, do you know what?
Roasted pine nuts.
Do you know what this is?
Yeah, we saw them. 哎，谢谢。
This is the pine nuts.
谢谢。
Oh, 谢谢你，谢谢. So we were talking about the pine, the Pinus armandii. So this is the nuts from Pinus armandii.
谢谢。
And this
放学
is
了吗？
放了
啊。
And this
3
is
点钟就放学了。
不是早放。
Lao Giles' granddaughters. 2 bonny girls in their school uniforms. 谢谢你，谢谢。
不用谢。
非常好。
妈，我手不干净，等一下。
哦。
你可还记得吧？
对。
我还记着那些照片啊。
哦，我们一起去北
北
京。
京。
北京。
哇，你那时候很年轻嘛。
That's the girl who worked in the hotel.
你 you look the same， 他长得一样啊。
现在一样的。
一样的。
那故事可能20年前的。
20年前的。
对，20 years ago.
见到你，这是你爷爷还是外公的？看年轻时候。
So 20 years ago.
还没有你呢。
I took Mr.
没有他。
还没有。
I took Mr. Jal to Beijing and we gave a lecture and Leslie, who was the food and beverage manager of the hotel, and she sorted out the catering at the station when we had visiting VIPs. She did the interpretation because at that time Mr. Jal was speaking predominantly Nashi Hua, and she's not a Nashi girl, she's a Tasha Baizu, but she spoke Nashi Hua as well. So I spoke in English, Mr. Zhao gave his lecture in Nashi language, and she translated it, and I filled in the gaps. So, Helen from... Do it, that's Helen from BHP Bulletin, who was one of the sponsors. Climbing, Shashway.
Hey,
yeah, lots of snow, climbing up to the station in deep snow. And BHP Bulletin, as part of their corporate social responsibility, their CSR program, they gave us money. So Helen Yuan was coming up to check on the progress. So what else have we got here?
That's you.
That's me in the snow. Yeah, reminiscing. Yeah, some lovely times.
Yeah.
He had to ask permission from his mum to go to...
Really?
Yeah, and his mum, although he'd been married all these years, you're pointing that camera at my feet, although he'd been married all these years, he had to ask permission from his mum to go to Beijing, and she sorted out all his gear and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
他说你当年去北京还要问你妈妈同意。你那时候都多大了，还问你妈妈同意？
That's quite fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when we went down to Lijiang Airport, his ID card was so well worn and smoke blackened, was sitting around the fire with me, that they wouldn't let him on the aeroplane, so we had to get a new ID card for him, issued at the airport. But when we told them that we were going to do it was an international lecture, so it was broadcast worldwide. So Café Scientifique it was called. So basically we give a lecture to an audience in a big hall in Beijing, but it was live streamed across the whole of China, but also internationally. So we had questions coming in from London, from New York, from Adelaide. It was a big deal.
要不要酒？
我不要酒，我不要酒。
他不喝酒啦。
我喝茶。
他不喝啦。
喝倒是喝一点，倒是没关系。
好吃。
谢谢你，老焦。He's made me some of my favourite potatoes. We used
苏
to
格兰
eat.
人也爱吃土豆。
他喜欢吃土豆，我知道。
They're
他不
disgusting.
喜欢吃肉。
他不喜欢吃肉，哎。He
Yeah,
knows you like
yeah.
potatoes and not meat.
Yeah, they're discussing my dietary requirements when I lived at the station for all
那我
these
时候
years.
是几乎是做饭是被啥人我来做嘛，他们那。
He was my cook for 20 years.
哦，谢谢。哎呀，不要忙了，太多了。
Okay, I'm going to try these delicious potatoes.
然后去啥地方干嘛去的？
你们自己不喜欢啊？
我可以，但是我不太喜欢吃坚果。哎，吃了，我刚才吃了，不用。饱了。
高人
啊，没有牙。我可以嗑啊。
Baojia's mama. Lovely old lady. And this is his
说你现在出门
his little garden.
现在出门还要问你妈妈同意。他说当年他去北京要问他妈妈同意。
Beautiful little waterfall crafted out of limestone. And his
那个时候要可以。
bonsai, feeding the birds,
还要多的。
kids' shoes drying in the sun.
那时候去北京不容易啊。
不容易，不是像这个时候一样，那不是。要再好多的劲。
现在都容易了，随便拿。去昆明坐几个小时火车就到了。
Lovely. The choosing palm in a pot. Trachycarpus fortunei. Got one growing outside the utility room door at home. There's manthus for fragrance in the courtyard. And then the oak trees that I was talking about earlier. A bonsai'd oak tree. Rhododendron arboreum, which will be bonny in the springtime. Rhododendron decorum with a few late season flowers still hanging on. Let me show you the workshop. This form of arboreum is called Rhododendron delavei. That's the animals in there, and then the hams hanging up. Another choosing palm. The outside kitchen and the inside kitchen. Wood for the fire and keep the kettle on the go. Courtyard living, glorious.
家里边是烂的，不想，我也都不想问，我走也不走。
干河坝 Dave.
Yeah, we visited, slept in the Gangho Bar a good number of nights, probably more than 100.
It's beautiful.